So, let us begin by taking a moment to admit that you are the one creating your experience. Will you admit that? That you are the one creating your experience? You are the one choosing it. You are the one crafting it and selecting it from out of an infinite number of choices. You are creating exactly what you are experiencing. And from out of an infinite number of choices, you can create anything you desire. That will be a lot easier if you will sit with the recognition that you are the one creating, that you are creating, that you can create, that you will create, that you're currently creating. If you have thoughts that seem negative, or thoughts that seem to indicate to you that you are not creating what you desire to create, ask yourself how much power you're going to give to those thoughts. If you are thinking or feeling anything other than you are creating exactly what you desire to experience, you are misperceiving. You are judging. You are coming to an erroneous conclusion. And that is your right, if you desire, to keep going down the path of misperception, to keep believing anything other than what you would like to believe. Many of you desire more money. And if you really look at what you think and feel and believe about money, it's probably not what you would like to think and feel and believe about money. It's probably a little bit more negative than you'd like it to be, what you think and feel and believe about money. What do you think and feel and believe about money? And is any of it true? Is any of it connected to the truth of what you actually are? Is any of your dealing with money connected to the truth of what you actually are? What you actually are is abundance. What you actually are is all providing. What you actually are is unfailing. What you actually are is all creative. But when you deal with money, do you deal with it from the awareness that you are the source of everything you experience? Or do you pretend there is a lack? Do you believe it is difficult? Do you believe it requires more than you have to give? Someone said they'd like me to talk about success. And I will talk about success by unpacking failure. Many of us believe there is success and there is failure. Failure is a misperception. You are misinterpreting any experience if you believe there is any failure involved in it. If you have any fear that you will be a failure, you are pretending that an illusion is real. You are ever abundant, you are infinite, you are all providing, you are unfailing. How could you possibly fail if your very nature is unfailing? Do you see how many different erroneous things you have to believe in order to think that you can fail when your very nature is unfailing? Even the way we talk about success is not connected to the truth of what we actually are. Because if you knew how successful you already are, you would not seek a greater success that you think will bring you joy, that you think will bring you happiness, that you think will set you free. You would realize that idea of success is an illusion. Does this mean you don't pursue more? Does this mean you don't have different experiences and different expressions of abundance? Absolutely not. You can experience any expression of abundance that you desire when you realize that you are the expression of abundance. The expression of abundance is not bound up in, okay, I got a much better job. Okay, I suddenly made $100,000 more this year. I have more things. I have a bigger house. Those things are ways you can express abundance, but you are the source of abundance and you are the expression of abundance, and it is up to you how you express it. But many of us are not going for those things, more money, more people, more places, more things, as an expression of abundance. We're going after those things thinking we have no abundance until we get those things. You are the abundance. Everything else is just a picture you paint to have fun with. If you would truly know that, you would never fail, and you would admit daily that you are already far more successful than you have ever allowed yourself to know. You wouldn't even need to define yourself in terms of worldly success, because you would admit to yourself you have created your entire world already. The greatest success you could truly experience would be to admit on an ongoing basis that you are creating everything you are experiencing and that you enjoy everything you create. There is no greater success than that. To admit that there is nothing wrong with anything you have ever created. There is nothing wrong with you as the creator, and there is nothing wrong with you as the one who is experiencing what you are creating. There is no greater success than that. When you have that success, The $1,000,000 doesn't seem like such a big deal. The perfect relationship doesn't seem like such a big deal. The bigger house and the better car don't seem like such a big deal. Because you could have any one of those things and still have no appreciation for yourself. And quite often we seek those things from a place of no appreciation for ourselves. Truly appreciating yourself and truly seeing what you actually are would be a far greater success than any material circumstance you care to claim. Those material circumstances are fun to play with. They're a lot more fun to play with when you're not so heavily identified with them. When you're not so heavily defined by the material circumstance you've created for yourself. We live so much of our lives thinking we are the material circumstance. We are the body and we are what's happening to the body, and it is happening to the body. We're not the ones creating it. It's not a very fun outlook to believe that you are solely this body and that you have no input on what this body experiences. It's pretty frightening. It's pretty unsettling. It's full of anxiety, fear, doubt, depression, guilt, shame, whatever. If you'll see what you actually are, you will see that none of that truly applies to you. It's just a creative expression. There isn't anything wrong with any of it, if you are choosing it. But your great success will be in knowing that you are choosing it. It isn't simply happening to you. It isn't any more powerful than you. Your thoughts are not more powerful than you. Your feelings are not more powerful than you. Your beliefs are not more powerful than you. A lot of people, when they do self-help and spirituality, they reach a point where they realize that they have lived thinking and feeling and believing certain things for a very long time. And they assume that undoing all of that thinking and feeling and believing is going to take a long time and a lot of effort. If you will actually admit that you created all of it and that none of it has any power or any sway over you, it won't take long to undo it at all. You could really ask yourself, does this even need to be undone? Do I really need to fix myself? Do I really need to think the right things and feel the right things and believe the right things? Or is it enough for me to admit what is actually going on? Is it okay for me to admit that I've always known exactly what I'm choosing? And is it okay now for me to make a different choice? You don't need to be transformed. You don't need to be liberated. You don't need to work at anything at all. Creation is easy and effortless for you. Would you let it be? If you hold any illusion that you need to do some hard work on yourself in order to get where you think you need to go, in order to finally see yourself the way you'd like to see yourself, would you let that go? Would you release yourself from the need to do anything about yourself at all? Every moment you can choose to be what you are, or you can pretend to be something else. There's absolutely nothing wrong with pretending to be something else. But please know that you are pretending to be something else. What you are is infinite, everlasting, unfailing, and beyond any judgment you could ever have. If you were in touch with that, would you still be afraid? Would you still believe in fear? Look at everything you have experienced. And be present with how much of it has been colored by fear. Can you see that there was never any reality to that fear? That if you were actually present in all of those moments to what you actually are, there would be no fear. But that so you could have the experience of believing in fear, you take your attention off of what you actually are. You send so much of yourself out of your awareness so that you can pretend to be limited, so that you can pretend to lack, so that you can pretend to fear. Because if you would allow all of you to be here now, you would never fear ever again. So we have to make the choice to love that fear, to forgive that fear, to appreciate that fear, and to release that fear. It is not real. It's just a creation. It has no effect on what you truly are. You are not the body, you are not the bank account, you are not the relationships, you are not the vacations. Those things are just explorations. How many different ways can I express myself? And what if you weren't defined by any expression? You expressed it, and then you asked what you would like to express next. Most of you, if you were really be present with it, have been expressing money in a certain way. There's a certain energetic expression that you stick to when it comes to money. And it's not so different from the energetic expression that you place in other parts of your life. Most of you have at least one area where you will give yourself an energetic expression beyond fear. But in a lot of areas, your energetic expression mostly paints with a palette of fear. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But will you admit that it's not real, and it's certainly not all there is? There are so many more ways of expressing yourself as the creator of all things when it comes to money than you have been choosing. Really be present with that. Because what we want is a greater result at the end of money. Where's my $50,000? Where's my $100,000? Where's my $1 million? Where's my $1 billion? But you don't actually express yourself any differently in pursuit of that. You think that if you got the $1 million, then you would change how you express yourself. If you will change how you express yourself, there is no limit to the amount of money you will have. But are you changing how you express yourself, or do you express yourself in the same way you have been expressing yourself? Would you listen to the same song over and over and over again and wonder why the music doesn't change? If you would be with yourself now as truly creating the experience you truly desire, what is that expression? And are you expressing yourself in that way? Or are you going, here's what I really want, but here's what I keep thinking and feeling and believing. Can somebody please give me what I really want, even though I refuse to express myself in any different way? Could I please just have the $1 million, even though everything I'm choosing indicates to me that what I'm really expressing is a game of pretend where I lack? We keep playing that same game of not having what we are creating. If you create everything in your awareness, everything in your consciousness, and everything in your experience, how do you not have something? You give yourself the illusion of not having something when you identify with the body, when you identify with the person you think you are, when you identify in this appearance of a human being, it's very easy to think that you don't have, because you look at your bank account and it's not there, so I must not have it. You have everything everywhere, but you're overly identifying with something that you have made very small for yourself. And you have so many judgments about what you are identified with, but you will not stop identifying with it. How identified are you with your body? I have a headache. My stomach hurts. I'm fat. Incredibly identified. And then we expect that to change out of nowhere. When we are completely identified with it and we will not let it go. Letting it go doesn't mean you die. Letting it go doesn't mean your body disappears. But if you will really be present, you are holding on to your body right now, exactly as it is, for dear life. Because you think that that is a fundamental aspect of who you are, when it is not. And if you would really be present, you would say, wow, I'm holding on to all this stuff that I'm identified with. And I haven't really been willing to let it be anything else other than what I've judged it to be. I would have to let it go long enough to stop judging it. And I definitely can't do that. Because if I'm not judging myself, I don't know what's going to happen. Really admit that. You have created an illusion so vivid for yourself that you say, whether you ever hear yourself say it or not, I can't trust myself not to be in judgment. I don't know what will happen if I don't judge myself. You know what will happen if you don't judge yourself. The same thing that is happening while you are judging yourself. You will go on creating your experience. Would you like to create your experience based on a profound trust that leaves no trace of fear? Or would you like to create your experience from the idea that you have anything to be afraid of? And you keep creating things for you to be afraid of, and things for you to worry about, and things for you to stress out about. It's so simple. It's so simple that it sounds crazy. And you have these moments of revelation where you go, wow, I'm really willing to let myself know more than I've ever let myself know. But what if I'm going crazy? What if people think I'm nuts? You have to look in this moment whether or not you have anything at all to fear. Is anything at all happening right now that you have any cause to fear? No. And how much are you the cause of what is happening right now? Do you admit that? Or do you hold your eyes shut, tight, so that you don't ever see that you are the cause of what you are experiencing right now? We spend our entire lives looking for the effects, but we have completely and utterly misplaced the cause. We want the effect of having more money, but we don't look at what is actually going to cause that. Oh, hard work's going to cause that. Tell that to the people who work at Taco Bell. The economy's going to cause that. Tell that to the people who are rich when the economy is doing terribly. What do you think really causes you to have more money? You do. But you don't look at yourself as the cause. You look at everything that appears to be outside of you as the cause. You look at money itself as the cause, but you are the cause of all of that. You choose how to interpret all of that. You choose to see the truth or to misperceive all of that. You create whatever illusion of money seems to be dominating your life. You are the cause of all of it. You could cause a completely different experience of money right here and right now. If you would express yourself as the creator of your experience in the way you actually say you desire. Would you like to go on judging what you say you lack? Or would you like to, for at least one moment, entertain the idea that you might already have and be everything? And that no matter what you seem to add or subtract from the material circumstance of your life, you are eternal, ever-present, infinite, and unfailing. You are the unfailing source of everything you experience. But you can, if you desire, judge what you experience as a failure. And there will never be any end to that appearance of failure until you stop judging what you are creating and what you are experiencing as a failure. Would you love yourself? Would you forgive yourself? Would you appreciate yourself? Would you release yourself? And would you truly, truly, truly see yourself? In everything that is created, would you actually see yourself and not the smallest, most fragile, most insidious judgment you can create? Would you actually see yourself in everything you experience as what you actually are, not what you have judged yourself to be? I don't normally give out paperwork to you guys because I myself find it incredibly boring. But if you want some paperwork to do after this, go and sit with a piece of paper and write down whatever judgments of yourself have seemed to haunt you for your entire life. Write them all down and really look at that list. And next to each one, write the question, am I actually that? And if you bump into any judgments you have of yourself where when you ask, am I actually that, you have a little bit of resistance to admitting, no, I'm not actually that, I'm far greater than that, and completely unable to be defined by any judgment. If you have a particular judgment where you feel a really difficult time releasing that, applaud yourself for how much work you have had to do to get yourself to believe something that was never true about you. It's not something that anyone else has inflicted upon you. It's not your parents' fault. It's not your culture's fault. It's not your society's fault. It's nobody's fault. You have undertaken an incredible amount of work to get yourself to believe something that was never true about you. And you have employed every person who has ever echoed that judgment to you. Would you set them free? Oh, wow, I thought this was my mom's fault. My mom was just playing her role. I could keep on blaming her and making it out to be like she did something to me. But it would be a lot more fun to admit nobody's ever done anything to me. It would give me a lot more freedom to say, wow, all of these people were perfectly willing to play the game of pretending that I am able to be judged by anyone or anything. In the States, people used to say this thing, only God can judge me. I wonder who that might really be about. Does anyone or anything truly have any desire to pass judgment on you? Or do those things merely reflect your desire to pretend that you can be judged? That there is anything to judge? People judge your body, so you'd like to believe. And then you feel really bad because people are judging your body, or so you'd like to believe. But if you would give up thinking you are the body, or the body means anything about you, would any of that judgment truly apply to you? Judgment doesn't stick to your body, and judgment does not stick to you either. But we sure love to pretend that it could. would you admit right now, to whatever degree you would like to be free of this, man, oh man, I have really enjoyed judging myself. Man, oh man, I have really enjoyed pretending that I can be judged. Man, oh man, I have really enjoyed pretending that my body can be judged. Man, oh man, I have really enjoyed creating all these different things that I think and feel and believe when it comes to this thing that has never existed and never been true. Is there any such thing as judgment? Or is it a game of pretend you have been playing with yourself? Is it a misperception of what actually is? And we love to go to pieces when we believe that someone else is judging us. Can anyone else actually judge you if you don't first pretend to be susceptible to that? Can anyone actually judge you to any degree greater than you are willing to pretend to feel and believe it? Do you see how much energy we've put into feeling and believing things that we pretend we don't want to feel and believe? If you put even 1% as much energy into feeling and believing what you'd actually say you'd like to feel and believe, your life would be so utterly miraculous, you would not be able to hold in place all of this falsehood. If you would put 1% of the amount of energy that you put into thinking, feeling, and believing things that you pretend are absolutely negative to you, if you would put 1% of that energy into thinking, feeling, and believing things that are an expression of what you actually desire, you would have more than you have ever dared to desire. If you would put 1% of that energy forward into an expression of what you actually desire. But boy, do we love to express all the things we love to pretend we don't desire. And somebody goes, okay, great. What do you actually want? What do you actually desire? And we go, I don't know. Maybe, just like a lot of money and a perfect relationship and like just a total cookie cutter thing that everybody seems to desire. That's what I desire. I would never dare really go there, but if you, I'm supposed to have a desire, so this is the one I guess I'm supposed to have. If you would put 1% of the energy that you put into expressing absolute misery into being and expressing absolute joy, and you don't have to put any energy in, because it's what you are. But we all think, God, my life is so horrible and I need to do all this work so I can make my life better. No, you don't. Don't need to do that at all. How much energy do you have to put into keeping that act going when you know none of it's true? Do you ever notice people are always like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I'm getting so old. I feel horrible. I wonder if that has anything to do with how much energy they're putting into pretending to be utterly miserable all the time. If what you are is completely joyous, if what you are is completely unlimited and infinite, if what you are is unfailing and all-providing and ever-expanding, do you know how much energy it would take for you to pretend that you are finite and small and lacking and worthless and unlovable and full of resentment and hatred and sadness and bitterness and trauma? If your very nature is that you are everything, get to have everything, get to be everything, get to experience everything, how much energy do you reckon it takes to say no to all of that? To hold all of that at bay? To keep all of that out of your awareness and out of your life and out of your existence? Is it any wonder that we can create disease and depression and anxiety when we're putting so much energy into believing that those things are real? But if I didn't believe in all those things, people would think I'm absolutely nuts. People are going to think I'm crazy if I don't pretend to be miserable all the time, just like they are. You're the source of all that. Let it go. Give yourself a break. See what it's like if you don't put all of creation to the task of pretending to be miserable. Do you understand that that's what you're doing when you choose misery? Well, I'd like to pretend to be miserable. So if everyone and everything in existence could assist me in pretending to be miserable, I would be just so grateful, because I'm really committed to pretending to be miserable. So if everything else could help me pretend to be miserable so that I don't look foolish pretending to be miserable when there's nothing to be miserable about, that would be great. If we could get some wars going, some chaos, some violence, if the whole economy could just crash right now so that it's really believable, this act I'm putting on, that I'm miserable, that would be great. If everything would just pretend to go to hell so I can pretend that I'm going to hell, that would really help me out a lot, because it's really, really, really hard to pretend that I'm not just experiencing the greatest existence I can possibly imagine. What if you would just release that impulse right now and express what you truly desire to express? So for those of you who want more money, I'd really like you to ask yourself a question. Have I been pretending to be poor? Has everything in existence been helping me pretend to be poor? Has every last atom and cell and unit of energy in all of existence been helping me pretend that I can't have money? That I can't go on vacation? That I can't afford to eat today? That I can't pay the rent? That I can't pay the bills? That I'm in debt? That I cannot afford to be happy? Have I committed myself to pretending to be broke? And has everything and everyone agreed to assist me in playing the great game of pretending to be broke? Are you ready for everything to assist you in playing the game of being rich? The truth is, you need no assistance. You are the source of all of it. But you got to look at what game you're actually playing. So, that is all for today. Thank you guys so much for another great one. So grateful for all of you, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.